Hey guys, let me welcome you to the only channel that doesn't care about fame or money, and instead is purely run on the sense of completion. Today, as of recording this video, we got an announcement of Hazbin Hotel Season 2, which reminded me that I still haven't done anything with the series since Season 1 finale. To be clear, I tried to make this exact video like 3 times already, but I always ran to the same problem, that being the lack of variety in its episodes. When I made Helva Boss Season 2 ranking, for example, I gave the worst episode 2 out of 10 and the best one 10 out of 10, with the rest of the series being pretty equally spread out. But every time I look at Hazbin Hotel, its episodes are just too close together quality-wise, so I have a much more difficult time choosing which one is the worst and which one is the best. They're also all hanging around in that 8 out of 10 limbo of good, but I have not much to say about them. That is the reason why I kind of gave up on ranking the first season of the show and instead chose to pursue other projects. But since I realized that I want to make Season 2 ranking someday and I would feel irrationally sad if I just skip Season 1 because of my for no reason very well defined sense of completion, I decided I will finally make this video, and if it will be boring because of the aforementioned reasons, whoopsie! Also, before we begin, I want to mention that this video will obviously have spoilers for the first season of Hazbin Hotel, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's really good, I promise.
Why does anyone do anything? Sheer, absolute boredom!
Pilot is where it all started, and just like in Helva Boss, it is my least favorite episode of the season. I mean, it is definitely better than Pilot for Helva Boss, but for me it still leaves much to be desired. The pilot has a much more chaotic plot than the rest of the series, with most of it feeling just as an excuse to introduce the characters. But on the more positive note, it is really funny, and has a lot of really iconic quotes.
Wow! That was shit!
That is maybe the symptom of it being the only episode for a few years, so I am sure a lot of us rewatched it pretty often before the rest of the first season came out. At least I hope I am not the only one. Angel Dust is definitely the best character here, and totally steals the show. Although I have one complaint about him, that being that on my first watching I had no idea if he was supposed to be male or female, as both his voice and design could pass as both, and Nifty also indirectly calls him a woman. So I literally had to Google it since I had no idea, and in my defense, to this day, even after the rest of the show made clear that he's a guy, if you Google "is Angel Dust", all recommended searches are still to do with his gender. Other characters are also really memorable, especially Alistair, who is in my opinion the best he's been in the whole series. I also like the songs, especially Inside of Every Demon is a Rainbow. It is a very good way to establish Charlie's character and motivations. But while there are a lot of things I like about this episode, and it is really amazing that this team managed to create the pilot as pretty much their first project, there is sadly a lot of wrong with this episode as well. Firstly, I have to say that it kind of doesn't work as the first episode. It just introduces a lot of totally unimportant characters instead of the ones that actually matter. I mean, Cherry Bob and Katie Killjoy are both introduced before Charlie, and they both are mostly irrelevant during the rest of the first season. I mean, it takes us almost 6 minutes until we actually meet the main character, and we don't see Nifty or Husker until the last 5. But aside of these pacing issues, I would say I actually enjoyed the pilot much more than I thought I will, and I am giving it 7 out of 10.
That was a productive meeting.
In Scrambled Eggs, Sir Panches is having problems trusting the rest of the hotel, so Charlie and Veggie whip out the good old reliable trust exercises to make them closer, while the secondary plot follows Alistair on his outing with Sir Panches' Egg Boys. First of all, this is pretty much the Veggie episode, so I am afraid that I have to once again share one of my unpopular opinions with you. That being, I actually kind of dislike Veggie. I know that she's sort of everyone's favorite lesbian Latina coded fallen angel, but yeah, I find her actually really boring and even stupid or unlikable in certain episodes. Here she, for example, forces all of their hotel to fight to deepen their bonds, which on one hand kind of makes sense since we later find out she is a former exorcist that was taught this way, but it is a conclusion we can make only after seeing 6th episode. And even then, it is still kind of stupid after you realize that the entire point of their hotel is to move away from this kind of behavior. Sinning to become a saint is kind of like fucking to become a virgin. The meeting of the overlords is also kind of weird. Both Respectless and Whatever It Takes are very good songs in hindsight, but in context in which we see them in this episode, yeah, I don't know. Especially Whatever It Takes is basically a woman we just met and therefore don't have any emotional connection to, singing about wanting to save her kids, which we just met and therefore don't have any emotional connection to. The song itself is pretty good, but especially before watching episode 7 doesn't really hit for me. Basically, the main problem with the Scrambled Eggs is that a lot of its enjoyment is derived from the context of later episodes, which if watching the episodes in order, you obviously haven't seen yet. Don't get me wrong, this sort of thing can work. For example, BoJack Horseman is a show with many scenes that have completely different tone after seeing its finale. But the difference is that the scenes still make sense even during the first viewing, while Scrambled Eggs feels either weird or straight up incomplete unless you know what happens in the rest of the season 1. But I don't know, this feels like probably the most subjective take of this entire video, so 7 out of 10, and don't burn my house to the ground if you disagree, please.
And everyone is hurt.
Welcome to Heaven is the only episode from season 1 that doesn't take place in hell, since Charlie and Veggie go to heaven to confront Sarah and try to prove that souls in hell can still be redeemed. Despite that, my favorite parts from this episode are definitely the ones that are still in hell, since Serpentius totally steals the show for me with his attempts to flirt with Cherry Bomb.
I see the club has a sex room. So I was thinking maybe you'd want to do a sex with me.
Angel is also amazing, and I really love how this episode manages to show his growth without it feeling forced. I also love both songs. Welcome to Heaven is in my opinion really underrated, since it has a different feel to it than the rest of the soundtrack, but I feel like it establishes Heaven perfectly, and the disconnect from the rest of the soundtrack is what it really sells for me. You Didn't Know is also almost perfect, although I feel like Adam accidentally revealing he does murder is kind of stupid. But now, I have to talk about my least favorite aspect of this episode, Vaggie. I already said that I am not a huge fan of her character, and the fact that she is inarguably at her worst and the most selfish in this episode doesn't help a bit. Basically, here it is revealed that she is actually a fallen angel that was cast away by Adam for letting a child get away during extermination, which, don't get me wrong, definitely earns her some good karma points, but the episode really glances over it and instead is about Vaggie not really doing anything to help Charlie, so Adam wouldn't tell her about her past. I feel like a lot of people just forgot about that part, since, let's be real, she doesn't really do a good job sabotaging, and also she gets revealed anyway at the end, but it is because Adam is a salty baby and not because she actually helped Charlie. She doesn't even ever get a moment where she comes back to her senses and apologizes to Charlie or makes things right. both Heaven learning about the extermination and Adam revealing her status as an ex-exorcist are outside of her control, so she just comes off as an asshole to borderline traitor. And if you want to argue that she couldn't really help even if she tried, no, she totally could. The thing that finally forces Heaven to at least kind of think about what Charlie is suggesting is the reveal of exterminations, which Veggie knows most Heaven people don't know about. The fact that she keeps this information from Charlie, someone she clearly cares about a lot, is insane to me. But okay, let's just agree that I clearly don't get this character 7 out of 10.
Hell is forever, whether you like it or not. Had their chance to behave better, now they boil in the pot.
Overture is the first episode not counting pilot. It follows Charlie going to see Adam, while Veggie is trying to film an ad for the hotel. The easiest compliment I can give to this episode is Adam. He is an amazing antagonist, and Hell is Forever is one of my favorite songs from the show. I was honestly a little worried from the trailers that he's going to be just a stereotypical frat bro, but he actually turned out to be a really amazing and entertaining villain, to the point where I was almost sad when he was killed in the season finale. I also really love the show's depiction of Lucifer in the opening. I really love that he is not a villain like many people thought he would be, but he also isn't depicted as being fully right for giving humanity the apple. He is just a flawed individual with good intentions that sadly made the world into a worse place. I don't have much bad to say about this episode aside of that nothing really happens. I mean, the whole main plot is basically Adam talking about fucking chicks for 15 minutes and then singing a song about genocide. But as a first episode of a full release, it in my opinion works. 8 out of 10.
This face was made for radio.
Did bro really just call himself ugly? I don't think he fully thought his catchphrase through.
After the battle, masterless cattle, overlords hanging by a thread.
The Show Must Go On is the last episode in this season, and I think it is safe to say that it left an impression worthy of that. Most of it is just pure unadulterated action, which while the rest of the series also had, but only in a way smaller doses, allowing this episode to really shine as an action-packed finale it clearly wants to be. Action is just a staple of this episode. Everything from standard gunplay through Adam breaking the hotel shields to his final fight with Lucifer is just an amazing show, animated flawlessly. But aside of the action, I also really love characters in this episode. I feel like not enough people give this episode credit for showing how much did every single of the main cast grew during this season. They even gave them special battle outfits for this episode. That is so cute. But I still do have a few issues with this episode. Namely that the first song, the reprise of More Than Anything, is, in my opinion, really unnecessary. And to me, this is the one song that I just feel like is there just so we can say there are 2 songs in every episode. I mean, it is cool that this is the only song from the season that feels like this, but I would still prefer if it wasn't there or just replaced with something else. And secondly, the ending is sort of a lore drop. I mean, it feels like we have like 4 different Marvel-ass post-credit scenes in the last 2 minutes. Like, okay, they are rebuilding the hotel. Oh, Alistair came back, cool. And Serpentius ended up in heaven, wow. And Lilith is in heaven and has some sort of deal with loot, what? Is it me or did they just run out of time and realize that they still needed to tease 68 more things before the season ends? I mean, I guess I will take it in place of just waiting for season 2, but it still could have been spaced out a little more. 9 out of 10.
We're super duper grateful to have you folks aboard. We can't wait to taste an angel's wings. Oh Lord.
Hello Rosie is honestly one of my favorite episodes in this season. Charlie and Alistair go to Cannibal Town to get cannibals on their side, while Veggie tries to figure out how Carmel Carmine killed an angel. My favorite part of this episode are definitely the characters. Rosie is really charming and I totally dig the chemistry she has with Alistair. It is really cool in a setting like this to actually find someone caring and surprisingly not a terrible person. if we forget about the whole people eating thing. Susan is so iconic and has warped my perception of this name forever. My brain will never be able to hear this name without replaying this clip in my head.
Boo! Bring Rosie back!
Susan?
Ready for This is in my opinion the most underrated song from the whole season. I've seen so many people putting it towards the bottom of the tier list, but I personally just cannot see why. Charlie finally finding a group of people that love musical numbers as much as her is amazing, and the song perfectly expresses what Charlie wants and how much he wants it. It also has amazing details of Alistair helping Charlie by firstly giving her his microphone and then getting the cannibals on her side with the promise of angel meat. Out for Love is also amazing, and I love that we finally got to meet Carmine a little closer. I also really like the little arc Veggie goes through, and it actually gives me hope that I will maybe actually like her in the second season. I only really have two things I dislike a little about this episode. Firstly, I think that Charlie maybe forgives Veggie a little too easily. But we knew she will forgive her eventually, so maybe I preferred before artificially stretching the drama further. But it just feels a little rushed to me. Like the whole Charlie's reason being that Veggie trusts her cause is valid, but I still feel like they both could have grown a tad more before seemingly returning to status quo. Secondly, the way how to kill the angels is kind of stupid. Like, they already have so much angelic weapons in hell. Are you really telling me that for the past thousands of years, the only person who even thought of using angelic weapons on them is Carmine? Even Veggie comments on how stupidly easy it is.
Angelic weapons? It's that simple? How has no one else figured this out?
But don't let these little issues distract you for otherwise a really good episode. 9 out of 10.
So the radio demon is back in town. Why is he hanging around? What does that mean for your family?
Radio Kill the Video Star is something of an Alistair and Serpentius introductory episode. And how could the episode about two best Hazbin Hotel waifus be bad, right? After Vox finds out that Alistair is back, he hires Serpentius to infiltrate the hotel and presumably find out what is Alistair up to, I think. I mean, the plan failed so quickly that I am honestly not fully sure what he was even supposed to accomplish, but that's okay. Take your time, little buddy. Alistair is amazing in this episode, from toying with Serpentius to his duet with Vox. Ever since this season came out, I was wondering why does Alistair feel so toned down compared to the pilot. And I have no idea why it took me so long to realize this, but I think the major part of what makes him so fun to watch to me is him having fun. Maybe he really just tricked me by smiling all the time, but when I look at him from the distance, he really seems to be having a bad time in like 90% of his appearances, which only makes the times where he is enjoying himself all the more entertaining. And believe me, is he having a fun in this episode. Vox is also really fun to watch, and his petty outbursts are just cherry on top of his performance. If there is anything I sort of disliked about this episode, it is the song It Starts With Sorry. I mean, it fits thematically, and I guess I can't believe Charlie would sing something like this, but I don't know, it feels kind of embarrassing for an adult show. Like, you have this dark moment of Serpentius accepting his death after his idol literally tells him to Persona free himself, and Charlie starts singing this Barney the Dinosaur ass song about forgiveness. Although I have to admit, I still kind of vibe with Serpentius' parts.
Who could forgive a dirtbag like me?
9 out of 10.
My daughter wants to see me. Take that, depression!
Deadbeat Dad is in my opinion when the show really picks up. Up to that point, most episodes are kind of fillerish, but this episode is the start of a more plot-focused second half of the season. Basically, Lucifer, Charlie's dad, comes to see the hotel for himself, while Charlie is trying to convince him to help her talk to heaven. Firstly, I just really love Lucifer. Like, genuinely, he is one of the characters I would borderline commit war crimes for. He is the greatest combination of adorable and bit of a dumbass. I also really love his bickering and semi-rivalry with Alistair about who is better father figure to Charlie. Granted, Charlie is a tad delulu to even consider this serial murderer to be on par with her dad, but let's just say that wisdom was never her highest stat. Speaking of Alistair, he is again having a blast here, and I absolutely love that he is basically never singing his own song and is only hijacking other people's solos. I also really love his interaction with Husk, like that is genuinely the scariest he has ever been. And I really love the new perspective it gives us to their relationship we haven't seen to such extent. Mimsy is also in this episode. I know that some people like her, so she's been honorably mentioned. The only issue I have with this episode is that the song Hell's Great Is Dead starts kind of abruptly, and that's it. I don't really have any other problems with this episode. 10 out of 10. Amazing job everyone involved.
Cause I know you're poison, you're feeding me poison. Addicted to this feeling I can't help but swallow.
Masquerade follows Angel Dust as he is working his porn acting job for his abusive boss Valentino. I absolutely adore the messages of this episode and its portrayal of a toxic relationship about how they can totally change the person both on inside and outside. Angel's relationship with Val is honestly too real, and I absolutely adore that this show decides to handle even these kinds of issues. This episode just gives completely different perspective to Angel's character and makes what looked just like a glorified gay joke at first into a really fleshed out character and makes me appreciate him even more. I also like how after being abused by Valentino all day, he just comes back to hotel and basically sexually assaults Husker. I mean, I don't like it, let me rephrase that. It is, in my opinion, a very good portrayal of how trauma spreads, with victims seeing this behavior as normalized and often themselves becoming abusers. Angel's and Husk's relationship is also really sweet, with Husk being the only one who sees through Angel's persona and Angel hating him for it, but eventually realizing that Husk has already accepted him for who he is, and the only thing he has to do now is to do the same. In my original review of the first half of the season, I said that we haven't got any amazing songs yet, and I honestly don't know what I was on since this episode alone has 2 of them. Poison is amazing and Loser Baby is borderline perfect. I am normally not too big of a fan of using trauma as an excuse of why should characters interact or bond with each other, as I believe that things that happen to you shouldn't define you. But this episode handles it really well, making it into a beautiful love song. And although I know that they are technically not together, come on, like this is not even will they won't they, this is will they today or tomorrow. Overall, this is definitely the best episode from the season, and I am giving it a very well deserved 10 out of 10. And that was it. All 9 season 1 episodes ranked from worst to best. I remember when I first started watching this show, I had one question in my mind. Is it better than Helva Boss? And after a good deal of thinkering, yeah, I prefer Helva Boss. I think that both shows are amazing, but honestly, Helva just had more things to love and more things to think about. There are 2 main reasons why I feel like this. Firstly, the episodes. Although I gave 8.4 out of 10 to an average episode in the season, compared to only 7.4 and 6.8 out of 10 for Helva Boss seasons 1 and 2 respectively, the 2 10 out of 10 episodes from Hazbin Hotel are in my opinion weaker than all 10 out of 10 Helva Boss episodes. I just don't mind to suffer through a few bad Helva episodes if that means seeing something that makes me really think. While the Hazbin Hotel 10 out of 10s are more of a I don't have any complaints episodes. So good Helva episodes just hit harder. Secondly, I think Helva Boss is just more relatable. I don't usually judge shows on how much I can relate to the cast, but I still think that drama between 2 lovers is just more relevant to us as people than a princess opens a hotel for people who want to better themselves. I know that there is more to Hazbin Hotel than that, but I still think that for average person, Helva is just more relevant concept for a show. Simply put, while I feel like Hazbin Hotel is more competent show overall, Helva Boss has more to say at the moment. But what do you think? Am I correct? Am I insane? Definitely tell me in the comments, since I really love reading them, and although to you this might seem like nothing, I was so happy to see that my last ranking video got 3 positive comments, because the fact that they were just from people who randomly stumbled upon my channel and had their day ever so slightly improved just means a world to me. So please, like and subscribe. We had met my goal of 13 subs, so we had officially surpassed Jesus in the number of followers, meaning that if Bible is to be believed, one of you will betray me. And I will be ready for that. But until then, I still don't have a catchphrase to end videos with, so bye, I guess.